welcome back to the Technobabble podcast. I'm Captain Kirk here with my good friend Drake, also known as Aphotic. I think I got it right this time.
I don't even know if I'm being streamed right now.
Yes, we are live.
Okay, cool. Because you said I was.
Because that's not. Well, I know, but I unmuted you like once we started. Do I normally talk like that if we're not streaming? I mean, I thought that would have given it away, but apparently not.
Okay.
At any rate.
So my name is Drake, and I'm Aphotic.
Yeah, we went over that already. Now
Yeah,
we're just regurgitating information now. This is not good content. Okay, so today I guess one of the things I want to talk about. Well, first I want to ask you because I've been all day I've been sitting around being like lazy and doing nothing and feeling like a horrible human being. But I've been playing some like Super Nintendo and Nintendo games lately, just kind of reliving the past a little bit, watching videos on them and playing. I played Mega Man 2, beat that again. That was fun. Have you ever played that game?
Yes, absolutely.
What's your favorite Mega Man?
Shit. I think it's Mega Man versus, or is it Mega Man X?
Mega Man X. Yes,
yes.
That's probably my second favorite game.
I love that. That's so fun.
Now there's like Mega Man X2 and X3 and all that shit. Did you ever play any of those?
No, I just played the first one.
Yeah. I heard the other. I mean, they're all the games I think are pretty good. But speaking of games, I've been hearing a lot of talk on the internet. I've watched some videos, I've read some forums, and there's this kind of theory going around that is this the last generation of console games? You know, with the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 and the Wii, whatever that new fucking Wii is. I guess the Wii. What's the Wii? What is it? The Wii. Wii U.
The Wii U. Yeah. Whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah. But anyway, so I was listening. Like, people think that the for different reasons. Like, oh shit, my headphones fell off. For different reasons, the people say, like Sony, for example, they're kind of not going bankrupt or anything. I mean, they're still. I think they're like a $13 billion company or something, which sounds like a lot, but and it is a lot for like people like me and you, but. You know, a company like that's a major
especially
company.
as big as Sony.
Right, exactly.
There's many employees and things that they have.
But anyway, so like, and honestly, PlayStation. I mean, I think Sony lately they're coming back and they're trying to do that H1Z1 thing, and I mean, I don't know. I've kind of mixed reviews. Yeah, that's Sony. Well, it's a branch of Sony. It's still, I guess, owned by Sony Online Entertainment. But yeah, that's Sony. I mean, I don't know. It's I think too young, too soon to see what's going to happen with that. But at any rate, I don't know. Like, I guess there's a lot of reasons why people think that the console games or the consoles are kind of going to phase out for different reasons. My biggest reasoning, like that I would say that I would agree with that on, is the fact that things are moving more like. Hosting based or online based rather, like with Steam for a good example, and Blizzard, both of those. Like Blizzard, like even if you own the hard copy of the game, right, you can still download a digital copy, or vice versa. If you don't own the hard copy of the game, you can still download the digital copy onto any computer using Battle.net. And I'm sure we're all familiar with Steam. It works very much the same way, whereas you buy an online game. And at any computer that you're signed into with Steam, you can download, install, and play the game. And there's a lot of people like it. A lot of people don't like it. What is like, for example, for you, how do you feel about like kind of taking the physicality out of a game box away, right? Like, you know, used to you would go to the store, go to Walmart or Best Buy or wherever it is you went, GameStop, you know, Blockbuster, wherever you went to get your games. And you'd buy the physical box or the set, and you'd go home.
Who doesn't love that though? I mean,
yeah, but is it still necessary? I mean, are you okay? Would you be okay if they said, hey, like, that's just not the way things are anymore? It's all online now?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the same thing with music. You know, CDs are becoming obsolete with all the MP3s and everything like that. It's
Well,
just kind of technology moving forward.
well, that's true. That's true. But do you think
And
it's going to reach a point to where like they don't even make? Well, I mean, I guess you could say CDs, but we're not really talking about CDs. But where they don't even make consoles anymore, or not a console in the same way we think of a console today, at least.
consoles are eventually going to be more like computers than anything, and you can see that with the Xbox One and even Xbox 360, and even Xbox. The original Xbox was the first console to try and be like a computer with the online play and all that stuff.
Well, I'm glad you
And
bring
eventually-
that up. No, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Eventually, I mean, I think that I don't know if eventually consoles aren't going to be the way they are anymore, but that time is it's going to be a little while for that because as of right now, computers are still inaccessible to a large gaming computers, I should say, are inaccessible to a large number of people, a large population. Not everybody has a computer that can handle video games, and not everybody can afford to build one, and a lot of people don't know how to make one or even get one made.
Well, all of that you
Whereas-
said is a really good point, and I want to. Oh, did you have something else to add?
I mean, I was just saying, I was going to finish it off with whereas a console, you just buy it and you put it in. You just plug it into your TV.
Right, exactly, and I'm glad you said that because that leads into what now that you've kind of segued into something I want to talk about, but before we get into that, you were saying something earlier about consoles are becoming more like computers, and you're absolutely right. I mean, in fact, an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4 is it's basically just a computer that plays CD games.
Yeah.
But anyway, did you know? Have you heard of Steambox?
I have not.
Steambox, and I literally.
Is it like a Steam console?
I think so. Like I should have looked into it more before we started doing this, but I never got around to it. But apparently, Steambox is, and I'll do a Google search real quick just to make sure I'm giving the right information. But Steambox, from what I know, the little bit I know.
Music.
Say again.
We need the Jeopardy music while you Google search.
Steambox is a console. It's a Steam console. And I have to look into it and all that. I don't know when this release date is or all that, but basically, from what I understand, I think it's going to be Steam in a console, basically, which is a lot kind of like what we were just talking about, which is even more so a computer than the Xbox One or the PlayStation.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be so cool for indie developers, though.
Well, yeah. So you keep getting ahead of me, Drake.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. I love the way you're thinking because you're thinking on the right path, but we're getting there too fast. No, but you're right. In one ways, I do think it will be cool, but in another way, like, I mean, does it spell death for consoles today, like the Xbox and the PlayStation only, and the Wii too? I mean, Nintendo's like people. I don't know how Nintendo has managed to like still be around, right? But they are, and I think they will be for a long time. I think they're still pretty well off.
They're
even
still making the same freaking games over and over and over.
Right, and well, I mean, I don't think Nintendo's going to die anytime soon. I think Sony maybe not Microsoft. I think if anything, Microsoft will stop making the Xbox because Microsoft. Well, Sony. Here's the deal, right? Sony has a lot of their hands in a lot of different buckets. Like you know they make TVs and Blu-ray players and all these other electronic things, and now they're doing this online game with H1Z1. They're trying that out. They got the PlayStation, and the PlayStation, in my opinion, has been Sony's biggest success for their entire whatever. So you got Sony, but Sony's just I don't know. I think maybe they got too many eggs in too many baskets or whatever, and I don't know. They're just not looking good. So financially, I would say if Sony like kind of dies out of Nintendo, Microsoft, and Sony, I would predict Sony being the first one to go. It's based on the way things are right now. Microsoft.
None of their products are like astounding. They're just there.
Right, exactly. You've never said, "Oh, this is the best Sony TV this TV is the best." This Sony brand is the best TV there is. I mean, it's a good TV, of course, or a good whatever it happens to be. They've always just kind of been mediocre, and except for the PlayStation, which has rivaled the Xbox pretty pretty competitively the last, I don't know, what is it, like 10 years, maybe 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, it's been a while.
But I don't know. Me personally, I like PlayStation. I've always kind of thought Xbox had a little bit of edge over it, but there are a lot of people will argue with me about that. Do you have something to say on that?
Yeah.
Hot Pocket.
Finishing the Hot Pocket.
Yeah.
I just like shoved like half a Hot Pocket in my mouth in like 3 seconds. But anyways, I like the PlayStation more. I don't know. I just feel like PlayStation games in general are more enjoyable than Xbox games usually. That's really all I have to say about that. I just kind of wanted to.
That was pretty anticlimactic. You built it up with the whole, swallowing the Hot Pocket thing.
Well, it burned my mouth, and then I was trying to say, well, and then
Right. Okay. So at any rate, like the Xbox, Microsoft with the Xbox, I don't know. Microsoft. They don't need the Xbox, right? I mean, it's hard to see. It's hard for me to say exactly where Microsoft is going to go. But at any rate, and then Nintendo, they're going to...
They need something.
The Nintendo are going to just keep being Nintendo. And
they're going to keep remaking Zelda games.
Zelda and Mario games, yeah. Mario Party 893 in a few years, I think.
I think they made I don't know if they made a new Metroid game at all recently, which is kind of weird because they've been in a tradition of making Metroid games.
That is true. I've never played a Metroid game.
Oh, really?
That's true.
That is sad because Metroid is a great franchise.
Well, I believe you. It's just never a game that it never visually appealed to me growing up, and like I always kind of played the games that look cooler, right? And even when I got older and I realized, hey, there's all this acclaim about Metroid, and I'm like, yeah, that must be a pretty cool game. Like everyone fucking loves it, but
Metroid's fucking good, dude.
I just
you should give it. You should rip it or something online.
I will. Well, maybe I won't do that. Of course, I would never do anything illegal, but I'll play it.
It's not even illegal anymore. I think it's just gotten to a point where it's all. They just said, "Fuck it, we're gonna make it."
I'm pretty sure it's still illegal.
I think pirating on the internet has become such a common term, and it's used by it's used by everybody. I think it's almost gotten to a point where they're just about to say, "Well, fuck it."
Yeah, I don't agree with you on that. I think if anything, they're fighting it more now than they've ever have, but that's a different conversation.
Look at piratebay.org.
Right, they just come back up. Actually, it's the Pirate Beach now. I probably shouldn't be I don't know if that's if I should advertise that or not, but
I'm sure you shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's Pirate Beach now. I wonder if it still has the same pornographic.
It's still kind of it's the same thing.
I'm typing in porn as I go to type pirate. I think of porn.
Pirate porn.
It's still Pirate Bay.
Oh, yeah, I think it redirects you though, right?
No.
Okay, hold on. Now I gotta do this.
I'm gonna go to piratebeach.com. It's gonna be a porn website.
Okay, if I go to the piratebay.se.
Pirate Beach does not exist.
You're lying to me. I was just there the other day, not doing anything specific. Okay, you're right. It is the pirate. Okay, all right. This is confusing the hell out of me. I don't know what's happening. But anyway, getting back to what we're saying, we kind of got off topic there. So.
No, it keeps reading.
So yes, Steambox is apparently going to be this new thing coming in. Look that up too, because I'm going to look it up. I should have done it already, but.
I thought you already done Steambox.
Well, Steambox is going to be the new thing. Now, anyway, getting back to what we're saying about how these consoles, there's a lot of talk about, is this going to be the last console? And you said earlier before we started the show that you were like, no, because all these high school kids.
Pretty.
Yeah, it does look cool. You notice there's a theme to all these consoles. They're all black these days, right?
Wait, is that an Xbox though? Because it's got an Xbox controller hanging out next to it, but it says SBX.
I don't know. I can't see your screen, bro.
I guess that's true.
I don't know. It at any rate, no, it's going to be a thing apparently, and you can speculate on it and whatnot. But getting back. Is this, like you said earlier, that, they'll never stop making consoles because all the high school kids or whatever after school or, young teens and, well, I don't know, the younger generation is, that's what they play. Well, yeah, that's what a lot of people play, though. I mean, it's not just, teens anymore. Like, it's pretty much a whole generation of adults now, too. But the what was I gonna? How am I gonna say this? 70%. I think I heard this somewhere. 70% of the people who play console games, or the people who play games, period, are maybe not people who play games. 70% of the people who buy games, or who contribute to, the economy of games and game consoles, are casual gamers. 70% is what I heard. And I haven't done any research myself to verify those numbers, but I'm gonna.
So basically, 70% of the population plays.
70% of
modern
games. Yeah, 70% of people who buy games or buy consoles are casual gamers, and by casual gamers they mean people who, like for example, me and you, obviously, and probably the people listening to this, we are what I would probably like hardcore gamers, or at least heavy hobbyists, right?
Okay.
Like we're not like casual gamers. Those are the people who play Bejeweled on their phone all the time, or on Facebook, or they like games, but they're not going to get excited about the new Call of Duty or about the new StarCraft expansion or anything like that. You know what I mean? So, and again, like this is all like we could argue about this, but those people, they don't want to buy a console or to buy a system that's going to take a lot of setup, right? They don't want to have to sit and then configure things and install things and make and do anything extra to make the game work, right? Now, people like me and you, we don't mind that kind of shit because it's like, we understand it more and we're willing to do it, right? I probably would go as far as to say even build your own computer. That's something we would be into, but a lot of people wouldn't be into that.
Probably 90% of the people watching Twitch right now.
Yeah, right. So that's but we don't really get to an input in what games get made or what consoles get made. You would think we do. We get heard the most, but we're not the ones, like, since we're only 20%, the other 10%, by the way, being just like your grandmother who goes and like has never played a game but would buy you a game for your birthday or some shit, the game you probably didn't even want or already had. But anyway, so we make up like 20, maybe close to 30% of the population, and that's not enough to affect, to truly affect the game. So my point being is, I think things like tablets games or social media games and things like that are going to become more popular, and you can really kind of see that already happening.
Oh yeah.
And I think there's debate, not that I necessarily believe this because I'm not really sure, honestly, I'm kind of floating on the fence, but there's people who think that this movement, quote unquote, is going to push out consoles, at least consoles as we see them today. I mean, what do you think? Do you think there's any truth in
that? I don't know, man. That's a good point. I just don't think that, because there's a lot of games you can't play on a tablet though. There's lots of, I mean, you're pretty limited as far as a tablet goes. There's not a lot of controls you can really do.
Today, maybe, right? As the day when we're like on February the 1st, 2015, maybe. Yeah, that's true. But who knows what the future holds, right? Like, and I think I talked with you about this before one time, where like Sean Plott, Day 9, also known as, he's a member of a team, Project Atlas. They're creating a game called Project Atlas, and I read an article on what this game is about. Basically, what they're doing, and don't quote me on this. I'm not pretending to like know it all or whatever. Go look it up if you want to know all the correct details. But from what I read and what I remember, they're trying to create a browser-based game that's like an RTS, like a lot like, I think they're trying to blend elements of like League of Legends and StarCraft 2 and games like that together for a completely browser-based game, but still plays just as well and looks just as well as those games.
And then, of course, you also have Albion Online, which is an MMO that's being designed for tablets and computers.
Yeah, exactly. So see, there are huge, like, as far as like requirements goes, I think I don't know, people are a lot smarter than me are figuring this shit out. And I think it's a fair argument to say that consoles could be pushed away by. I guess we say, I mean, tablets and social media kind of games. When we think of those games now, we think of like Farmville and Bejeweled and whatever the other ones, that Candy Crush, all that shit. That's kind of what we think of right now. But I think that here in the future, pretty soon, those when we think of like tablet or console games, I'm not console games, or browser games, we'll be thinking much more sophisticated, or about much more sophisticated type of games. So I think that's in the future. I don't know, and what that does to consoles or the way we play games now. Like, I guess that's what we're here to talk about.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't imagine that consoles are going to go away. I definitely can't imagine that computers will never go away.
No, of course not.
But even with all of this about tablets and everything like that, I
Because
still
tablets
find
are so easy, right? You don't have to sit there. I mean, it's easy. You hit the button.
I still find it to be the weakest link, though. Even with it being such an easy thing to, it's such an easy access. I still find it to be. It's just so below. It's so far. It's not even on the same level as a console game. Not nearly the same level as a computer game.
Well, again, we got to think about where the market is, right? Because I mean, and this is like, as a game developer, you got to think about who your target. And this is actually, I got something else I want to go with this first. I'm kind of, honestly, Drake, I'm kind of playing devil's advocate a little bit here, but at the same time, I think it warrants like thinking about. If, well, for example, you said it earlier, people don't want. A lot of people can't afford a computer that's capable of playing like good games, right? Like, I mean, you could play the simple games like the app games we're talking about and the browser-based games we're talking about. But I think the average person who owns a computer does not have an NVIDIA graphics card, or the latest processor, or 8 gigs of RAM or anything. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
And those and as if you were a business-minded person making a video game, or making a console, wouldn't you like want to advertise to what the most people have?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I get the point. It's just, I don't know. It's almost like I don't want to believe that console games could ever, or that tablet games could ever over anything.
I know it's a very hard truth to comprehend, and I don't even necessarily know that it's true, but it's, I just kind of. It's possible, I think. I don't want to. I mean, I'm with you. I don't want to believe it either. Like, cause I feel like, however, let's assume it happened. Okay, let's assume that Microsoft said, whatever. We're not making as much money as we used to be making on these video game shits, and we'd rather go cure polio or something. Which I think is what they're doing now. But anyway, and Sony goes bankrupt, and then Nintendo's like, yay, we're still here, but we're still making shitty games. So let's say all that happens. I mean, it's really hard to think of what a future would be like in the video gaming world. I'm kind of imagining a lot more online download, browser-based, like really low kind of requirements, but like low system requirements, but really, really high value in terms of like the look and feel and gameplay. I don't know. And then again, like maybe it'll go the opposite. Maybe maybe the requirements will be huge, but more people will be able to afford it because the price has gone down or something. I don't know. It'll go somewhere like that. But let's just assume that the people who think generation consoles are the 8th generation of gaming consoles are going to like no longer exist. Let's assume that theory is correct. What I think is going to happen is, if there's a need for it, it will always exist, right? And that's where people like me and you and other game developers, or people who like creating games, or in this area, in this field, people who like doing
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. That's where we're gonna step up, and we're gonna, you know what? Like, hey, do you remember? You remember the Xbox 360? Man, we used to have fun with that thing. They don't make consoles like they used to anymore. You know what? Someone needs to make a new console. And whenever you say someone should do this, then that's probably a good indication for you to look at yourself and say, hey, maybe I should be the one doing that, right? Because you found something that doesn't exist, and that's a pretty rare thing these days. So you should
that is.
make it happen. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, I guess you could obviously figure it out. If that does happen, if people want it bad enough, then it'll exist, I guess. So I guess that's maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of like the way I like to look at it. I like to think that that's how it'll happen.
Yeah. Oh. Well, I guess I don't know. So basically, we can just owe it to. We all need to take our cell phones right now and run them over.
Well,
because if we allow this to go on any longer, it's going to destroy everything we love about gaming.
You're starting to sound a little bit like Hitler.
Yeah, it kind of is. We're gonna take your phone and fucking destroy it.
We're gonna take all of our phones and we're gonna place them in these camps, right? And
and in these camps, they're gonna we're gonna basically use these concentration camps as a way to send viruses to everyone's phone. Because we'll take all these phones and we'll attach viruses to like text messages and send these text messages to all their contacts, and eventually this virus is going to spread through every phone.
But wait a minute, that's a pretty like all the phones are in the same place anyway.
Well, that's what we want. But it's kind of like it's exactly like World War II. You couldn't get the Jews that were working. You know, like the Jews that were working and had a job, they were helping the society, so they wouldn't put them in the concentration camps.
This subject matter is getting too heavy for me.
Well, the long story short, too heavy for you. My family was in this shit.
Oh, well, okay.
So, yeah.
No, go ahead.
So, long story short, there's going to be people in an adverse kind of way. There's going to be people that are, not willing to give up their phones or something, and they're hiding their phones, and we're going to find them. And we're going to break them.
Okay.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, that's what. Whatever.
No, you're right. Everyone right now just unless you're listening to this on your phone, in which case ignore this. But for everyone else, take your phone and go put it in a envelope or a little box and mail it to. I will give you the address in the description. Mail it to that address, and I can assure you, your phone will be destroyed, and along with all
in a humane manner.
Yes, of course.
We're not gonna just let it.
We're not gonna we're not just gonna put it in a room and fill it up with gas or something, or starve it to death, or we're not gonna do any of those evil things. But we can assure you that all the phones, they will be all buried in one mass grave.
I'll just have I'll sit down.
Well, because it's way too expensive just to dig 600 billion holes, and put.
Oh yeah, well fuck that, and who has that kind of fucking land, right?
Right. Well, you know what?
Well,
we should actually incinerate the phones. Actually, now I'm thinking, but we should put them all in a big room, and that would solve so much.
For every app that someone has on their phone, we're gonna charge their credit card for an actual game on a computer.
We're talking about the Holocaust with phones. I don't know how we got onto this subject.
Well, I guess that's what happens.
It does.
When you get a little. I mean, that is kind of scary though. Like, what if all these I can't imagine that this would actually happen. But at the same time, when you think about it, the numbers are so high for cell phone users. I mean, why wouldn't a company just switch over and start selling cell phone games instead of spending these?
Well, I know, and that you're right, because and honestly, you can see with indie developers,
And there's only one reason that they wouldn't, and that's just a passion to develop games.
Well,
But
it's well. Here's the thing, right? And this is kind of all contributing to the future we're predicting, or I'm predicting, or some people are predicting. I'm not really sure where I stand on it yet.
basically, you're Satan.
Um, the well, for example, like you can develop a game for a phone and have it put onto the marketplace for people to buy for next to absolutely nothing, $0 cost. I mean,
Yeah, and the thing about cell phone games is they don't require any high specs or anything. You can just do it with fucking sprites, and everybody's happy.
exactly.
Look at Angry Birds.
Right? So it's super easy. Now that makes the market way more competitive, right? And honestly, like I think think about it though, man. I think because when you think about back to the '80s with the original Nintendo, like Nintendo had come up with this system, and people like were just fucking spitting out shit for it. Like so many Nintendo games would just come out, and a lot of them were horrible, like just really bad games. But people didn't care; they were just spitting it out because it was easy, right?
Yeah.
And so people were spitting this shit out, and then people. I think that's kind of what's happening with cell phone games right now. Like there's, at least in my opinion, so many shit. I hate playing games on my cell. There's every now and then I'll look at and see if there's any cool games.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Everybody stop before he keeps going. Did you hear that? That tone he got when he said, "I hate playing games on my cell phone." That sounded fucking furious.
Yeah, that was sincere. That was sincere. Because like, do you play games? Like, really, do you play games on your cell phone? What do you play?
Fuck no.
Okay, see, but they're just so like I don't know. Maybe I'm too much of a gamer, right? Like I'm not a casual gamer. That's it, right? Me and you, like that's why we don't play games on the cell phone. We're not casual gamers.
Torpid Sloth says the phone game market is crazy oversaturated already.
Exactly, and that's kind of what we were talking about because the phone market, it's because it's so easy to make a game. Like me and you right now, we could put together a game like that, and it could be on the market, and we could probably become like rich off of it, or at least well off, at least wealthy, make some money. Let's just put it that way. We could make some money off of it, and because it takes no money virtually to create the game in the first place, and again, like you were saying, that in itself makes it oversaturated. So people are spitting out games for the phone. But somebody's going to step up, right? And they're going to take it to the next level, and games are going to get better for the phone or for the tablet or for the browser. And I think
that's such a shame.
Yeah, well, I mean, you say it's a shame now because all the games we know there are shit, right? But like, what if this really cool, awesome game came out that was for your phone or tablet? And I think it's right around the corner. I think it's about to happen. I really do. I don't know when. I don't have a time frame on it, but I think it's going to be in the next. Well, I just said I don't have a time frame, and I'm about to put a time frame on it. I don't know, but there's going to be there's going to be some cool shit that comes out that's going to blow our mind away and be like, wow, I didn't even know that was possible on a phone or on a tablet or in the browser. And
well,
that's gonna
I guess it's kind of fucking what's happening with this Albion Online, kind of. It's a full-on MMO, like World of Warcraft MMO, and you can play it on your fucking tablet.
Right, exactly. I mean,
I don't know. I don't like it though.
You don't like it because you don't feel like. Why don't you like it? Can you put it into words?
I don't like it because eventually, I don't know. I mean, man, just. Like all these, I mean, everybody. I mean, I love a computer. Is really why I don't like it. It's really what it boils down to. It's I love playing video games on a computer.
I knew that was the reason.
It is, but what's gonna happen is if all these phone games begin to like become so big and stuff, and they already are huge, as you said, like the market for phone games is way larger than the computer games, and that makes sense because it's way more accessible.
It's way more accessible and it's easy. You don't have to install Windows on your phone or anything like that.
I can't imagine myself being a gamer anymore, and I love fucking video games, but dude, I can't imagine myself being a gamer anymore if I had to have a tablet to play.
You're right. No, you're right.
You know what I mean?
I totally agree with you. But now there are also people who feel just as strongly as we do about computer games. They feel just as strongly about tablet. Okay, those people probably don't exist. I can't.
There's nobody that feels strongly because anybody that's playing a tablet isn't a gamer. They're just people that like dicking around.
You're right. I take that
they're waiting for their flight or something.
They're waiting for their plane.
You know what I mean? Like those people don't have this
However,
care.
I'm pretty excited that you can play Hearthstone on your tablet. And
That's
some
kind of
games.
cool,
Yeah.
and I'll give that because that's a kind of game that should be playable on a tablet.
Exactly, it is. It is. But
And
but
that's
see, but
when
that's one thing about
companies
like
stay.
they figured it out. Like Blizzard figured it out. Like okay, there's something here with this whole being able to play games anywhere in the world on your like device that fits in your pocket that everyone has. Like that's a marketer's dream, right? Like you have this thing, this like literally billions of people could buy your 99-cent product and change your life forever, in a blink of an eye. That's like how do you capitalize on that kind of shit? Well,
Yeah,
you know,
Hearthstone's
people
huge.
aren't people
I
just
can't
haven't figured it
stand
out yet. Or
I
they're
can't
starting
do
to. They're starting to figure it out.
But the Hearthstone is the kind of game that could be played on a tablet, and that's where it should stop. Just fucking trying to make an MMO on a tablet, even if it works out, it's just gonna piss me off. It's just gonna piss me off. It just you shouldn't. There should because can you just imagine like sitting there and you're in like a party getting ready to go fight a boss or whatever, and you got like two guys and you're like, oh, 1 second, my tablet needs charged.
Yeah.
Like fucking go to
Right.
hell.
I mean, well, because I guess when you put it that way, the reason it just doesn't sound like a good idea is because where would you like play, because MMOs, right? Well, I mean, unless it is, I don't know anything about this game you're talking about, but is it supposed to be like kind of, is it casual or not casual? Because, for example, not casual would be like, wow.
Well, I think it's not casual from what I'm seeing because if you die, you lose everything you have. You lose all your equipment and stuff, and it's like if you kill players, you can take everything they have on them, kind of RuneScape style in that sense. The monsters look like they're kind of a pain in the ass to kill. I mean, dude, you should really check it out because actually, it looks pretty fucking cool.
Okay, guy who says, I really hope this doesn't work.
I might play the game. I'm not gonna play it on a fucking tablet. And anybody who's playing it on a tablet, I'm gonna like spam their inbox. If I get into the game, I'm just gonna fucking. If I find out,
Well,
I'm just
see,
gonna be like, "You're an idiot, and you should burn it." It's probably like some 6-year-old kid.
the things that you're saying and the things I'm saying, I'm noticing we've both, in some way, we've kind of actually backtracked on our own words a little bit, and so that leads me to believe that games on a tablet or games on a phone, like we obviously, like
The game isn't just for a
said.
tablet, though.
Say again?
It's not just for a tablet.
No, it's okay. You're right. It's not.
Yeah,
But-
like
so
I'll
it-
play
it-
on my computer.
So maybe that's the thing. Maybe that's where things need to be going, right? Like maybe because when you think about it, like I think the reason I don't, if I had to think about it, the reason I don't like phone or tablet games very much, unless it's like a really cool casual game, and there are very few really cool casual games out there to me. Like, cause sometimes you need a casual game where you're sitting like in the doctor's office or something, or you're at work and you got a little bit of free time or whatever, you're on break, and you want to just go through a few levels of something simple, right? That's where a lot of people play games. That's what I mean, and even like us hardcore gamers still need that kind of game in our life, right? Because we still, at least I do, anyway.
Google shit.
Say again.
I just usually get on the internet and Google shit.
Well,
Really?
I mean, the point is, those kind of games do have a place in society, right?
No.
Okay, not all of them do,
So
but the good
basically,
ones
you're
do.
kind of like Schindler, and I'm like Hitler. It's like, well, we can keep some Jews, right?
Oh my god!
Fuck no, we can't keep no damn Jews.
He's like, but these are these ones are really good though. They're gonna trust me, these are good.
These are good Jews.
But so I don't know.
Anyone who's seen Schindler's List is
That's a good movie. It's a sad movie though.
it's a sad movie, but it's good.
I
I don't know why they filmed it in black and white. I never understood that. I mean, I get the artistic side, but I mean, it was made in the 90s.
Right, yeah, but would it be the same movie if it was made in color, right? You think?
See, you're an artistic person, so I guess you would have that fucking argument.
But have there been any video games that have been made in black and white?
Well, not really so much. Well, yeah. What's it called? What is the name of that damn game?
I feel like there's been at least
There
one
is.
or
It's
two.
called Limbo. And then there's a
Limbo. Yeah, and then World of Goo, didn't World of Goo, or no, they had a. I
I
think
don't
I'm
know,
thinking
but I
of
know
Limbo.
like there was a lot of games that were made after Limbo that were kind of like,
Yeah, the
yeah,
kind of
they were
like,
fucking Limbo.
right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm thinking about Limbo, not the other stuff. But yeah, that's an interesting thing. I mean, that's kind of a whole different topic and a whole different conversation. But I mean, I guess the thing we wanted to talk about today was the
And
future of
Torvald
gaming.
Sloth says Limbo. He probably said it before it came up on his side that we were talking about it.
Um, I mean, I guess like even after we've been talking about this for what, like 45 minutes now, and I still don't really. I mean, it's so hard to say. I want to say, because I mean, everything's being driven by online now. Like the cable companies, the internet companies. You're not going to have cable TV in the distant future anymore, or at least not cable TV as we see it. It's going to be something completely different. And
Yeah, with
and
Netflix and everything.
yeah.
I mean, they're starting to do Netflix only TV shows. Have you seen that?
Yeah. That's been.
Yeah.
That's.
So
I mean, it's becoming more popular.
Netflix starting to have TV or movies that are actually from this generation too.
The internet, like, and you can see it, like every device we own today, it can be tethered to another device that can be connected to the internet and have global access. We're all connected via the internet these days.
Yeah.
And I mean, it kind of in some ways feels like a movie out of like 1984 or 5 or something like that, the net
Yeah.
or something where the whole idea of like the internet or the computers taking over the world, Terminator 2 kind of deal. It's not so much like that, right? That's the darker side of things. But in a way, that kind of shit is still happening, and it's only, I think, gonna get more like that in the future. And I think games, with things like the Steam box coming out. Now, I guess the question is. See, a lot of people, like, the reason I like PC, I like console games. I've always has, but I'm leaning lately more towards. I always have, yeah. Lately, I'm leaning more towards computer games, just because like computer games, the graphics, especially if you have a good computer, the graphics are far superior. The gameplay's more customizable, I guess, right? And
It's not that kind of computer, in my opinion.
well, yeah, you're right. I mean, the computers are also more susceptible to viruses and bugs and heavy shit like that too. But trust me, there's a long list of console games that would break your fucking console the minute you found that glitch.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
But
I think like, I don't know. I feel like Diablo 3 would be a really fun game to play on console.
yeah. I
And
can
there's
see that.
and then I think I don't own a console. I did have a console, and then I gave it to my nephew because I just didn't play it enough. I had an Xbox 360, whatever. But this is for console games. I just don't like. I don't know. I guess I'll probably never own a console again. I'll probably never buy one because I'd rather, instead of spending the money on a console, I'd rather get a new graphics card.
So
You know what I
Drake,
mean?
well, okay, but you just said you were never gonna. So remember at the beginning of the show when I said that like this generation of console games is going to be the last generation that we have. Like there's not going to be any more consoles, and then you were all like, no, that's not true. And then you just said you were never going to buy another console.
I wouldn't, but I never was big into console anyways.
Right. Okay.
There's so many people that are playing Call of Duty and shit, dude, on console.
But the fact you have a console now, right? What console do you have?
I don't have one. I just said I gave it to my nephew.
Okay, I missed that part. I think my
Yeah,
my earbuds fell out. Okay. Well, that's we can argue about that, but we don't need to.
No, man, console games aren't gonna die anytime soon. I didn't say they were never gonna die. I said they were gonna die anytime soon.
I think you're wrong. I mean, I just don't think they're going to be making I don't even know what I think. I know a lot of people think they're not even going to be making more past this generation. Maybe one or two.
Well, I mean, they were saying that about Xbox One, though. Before, I mean, not the Xbox One. But
Xbox
the
360. Oh, the original Xbox?
Yeah, they were saying that after that.
I don't
know what
remember
that
those
is.
conversations. I'm not saying they didn't happen. I'm just saying I don't remember them. Okay, but let's talk about the future of games. Where do you think the future of games is going to take us, Drake? Where do you see gaming ending up? Let's say in 5 or 10 years. Exactly. That's a good point.
I think indie developers are kind of taking over right now. I
So,
mean,
so with that being in mind, you're not really an indie developer anymore. Once you, I mean, I guess you are. There are indie console games, but not very many of them. And I think, well, I kind of think once you've reached the point where your game is like a box game on the shelves at the store, you're kind of not really an indie developer anymore.
nah, you're not an indie developer.
You
But
can't.
when you have a company label
Right.
and you're making more games, indie games are that one game that gets you big.
Right, and I'm not even talking about the games that you download from like the PlayStation Market or like the Xbox Market.
Well, no, a lot of those are indie games.
They are, but I'm not talking about those kind of games because those aren't really the same. Those are just ports of games, and I don't know, and they're really usually not even that expensive anyway. It's not because they're low budget games, right? And that's not to say they're bad games, because they're just low budget games, which is very fair to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do tend to 100. But see, but where is that going to take consoles? If I mean, are you so is the Steam box the future of consoles, right? Like where it's nothing but. I mean, I think so. I think that's what we're saying. The Steam box is the future of consoles. The Steam box, you plug in this console, hook it up to your TV, you download hundreds of thousands of indie developed games right onto your console and play them on your TV.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know because, I mean, Xbox has such a big user base right now. So many people love Xbox. And then PlayStation 3, and then PlayStation. There's like you know how those people are. There's PlayStation versus Xbox people, and then there's this like small portion of Wii people who are still playing Zelda 954 or whatever. Like I love Zelda, don't get me wrong, but
Right.
Nintendo's got to make something new eventually, man.
Yeah.
They keep releasing. I
miss Sega, right? Like Sega's off in Japan
Sega's
somewhere.
fucking awesome.
Sega's off in Japan somewhere making slot machines or something.
Yeah.
And they should be making more Sonic games. I'm just saying.
I fucking loved Sonic, man. That was my childhood, was fucking Sonic. I love that shit. Sonic was so fun. But
So, I mean, honestly, I don't think consoles are going to die anytime soon, right? I'm just saying there's a lot of people who think they will. I do think they're going to die eventually. And I say die, I mean the console as we know it today will die. It'll evolve
I think
into something
consoles are going to
different.
eventually, like I said, are going to eventually become very closely related to computers, which they are right now, but like even more so.
Again, yeah, the Steam box. That's exactly what it is, and that's what we've been saying. But I think I know what you're saying. You're saying more like have a complete full operating system that. Like Xbox and PlayStation do have operating systems, but it's not the same as like a personal computer operating system, of course.
Yeah. So it's just basically all it is. It's a computer without all the customization.
Exactly. I think they're gonna. And I do. I agree with you. I think Steam box. I guess I'm gonna say it. Like this is where I stand right now. I think Steam box and products like the Steam box, that is consoles that are nothing more than a computer that you use to only play video games and download. You pay for games and download games, and play them on your TV, or wherever.
So is the Steam box not going to be using any kind of?
I don't know. I don't know anything. I'm purely speculating on what I think the Steam box is.
I mean, I wouldn't think so because it is the Steam box. It would be kind of odd for it to use.
Right. I mean, I think Steam box is going to be like a Steam exclusive kind of thing, right? You know, they're not going to probably not going to have Blizzard games on there or anything crazy like that. But you know what I'm saying. But there will definitely be duplicates or knockoffs or rivals, you know, of it in the future. You know what I mean? If it's successful, there's going to be people who try to rip it off and do the same thing. And that's going to lead to a whole nother war down the road that we can't see yet.
We can discuss that in episode 3.
Actually, episode 3, I'm going to give you a little spoiler. Not really a spoiler, but a little heads up, a little hint on what's to come in episode 3. But we'll talk about that in a few minutes. Wrapping up, I guess what we're trying to say is, one last thing though. If it does become that way, right? Like I guess me and you kind of think it will, where it's going to be the majority of games we play will be indie developed games. There's always going to be your big companies, and there's always going to be the small guys who grow up to be big companies. But then there's always going to be, from now, I think now until forever, will always be small, just very small teams of people who make video games. And they don't reach a wide audience. Maybe most of them don't. Maybe some of them get lucky and really do. Which I think that's even more possible now than it was.
Oh yeah,
5 years ago to
yeah,
get your game really
for
well
sure.
known. But the point is, like, you don't. When there's only 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of you, you don't need to make billions of dollars to change your life. You know, you only need.
Oh yeah.
You need to make a fraction of that. You don't need to sell your game to everyone in the world.
You need to make like 800,000, and you got something to work on.
I think it's like 10,000 people, right? If 10,000 people buy your product, then your life could pretty much be changed. You know what I mean?
That's probably only as a single developer though, right?
I don't know all the numbers. I'm just going off of kind of things I've heard people say, and I mean, it's not like I'm not trying to like
10,000, assuming you sell your product for $10.
I'm just saying it's like just you don't need that many people. That's all I'm trying to say.
I mean, if you sell your product for $1,
that's $10,000, which is not a lot of money, but
it's not.
It could change your life.
I've got more than $10,000 in hose right now, man.
My car only costed like I could pay off my car, right? And
my car was $8,700. So yeah.
But anyway. So yeah, there probably always will be big companies, but I think the most important thing is it doesn't matter if consoles die or not, or it doesn't matter if big companies die or not, and because you're not. It doesn't matter what kind of game you make. You're not gonna succeed if people don't like your game. So as long as there will always be games we like to play, because people are gonna make what we like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, does that make any? I feel like I'm talking in circles, but I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
You're wrapping up though. It's okay. That's a summary. You know, I mean, that's how it goes. Long story short, we hate mobiles.
Yeah. Long story short,
we're okay with consoles. We
hate mobiles unless there's a console unless there's a PC version of the game.
No. That's not it. We hate mobiles.
Unless there's a PC version.
No, not even that. Like, I don't even give a shit if there's a PC version.
Okay, fine. We hate mobiles, right? All right, you're driving me crazy here.
I'm kidding. I just think that there's a place for mobiles, and it's not MMOs.
No, there's never a place for mobiles, straight. Never.
Like, yeah, there is. Apparently the mobile phone holocaust.
Okay, you're right. Okay.
So there's that.
Right,
there's Limbo. We can send it to Limbo.
Limbo? Are you talking about the video game Limbo?
Yeah, the video game Limbo, yeah.
I thought that's what we were going to call the place we put on the phones was Limbo.
I think it's a good idea. I think, 1 second. Give me a second. The power of Google is kicking in. 1 second.
I'm waiting on a Google. I'm looking on a Google game console.
Son of a bitch.
Do you think that's gonna happen? Like Google's taking over everything. What are you typing?
Give me a second. See, you know what? It's already too late. It's already too late. Because the joke's done. It's like if I was to say it now, everybody'd be like, "What the fuck is this guy talking about?"
Well, now you have to say it. There's a rule. You can't like start with. Okay, here's a rule. You can't start this conversation.
So, anyways, long story short, what? I don't even fucking know.
You're like, you know what? You're like that girl that you have sex with, and then like right before you come, she's all like, "I want to stop. I'm done. Like I'm thinking about my ex-boyfriend or something," and she makes you get off of her, and you don't get to come, and like just. You fucking like you
don't get to.
Yeah, it's the worst feeling in the world. Okay, I don't know if it's ever happened to you, but that's what you're like right now.
No, I had the same kind of scenario happen, except it was more like I'm thinking of my boyfriend.
Your boyfriend,
not my ex-boyfriend.
Okay. Do you want me to tell you what's coming up in episode 3 of Technobabble or not?
Yeah. Okay. Talk about it.
So, just letting you guys know, if you're interested in the show, if you like what you've heard so far and you want to keep listening to things about like the Holocaust and ex-girlfriends not letting you come, But if you like those kind of things and want more, you can if go to twitch.tv/Captain Kirk 767. That's CPT Kirk 767, and click the follow button. That would be fucking awesome. You can also head over to Twitter, Captain Kirk SC2, and YouTube is also Captain Kirk SC2.
Shit.
That's my information. Drake, do you want to tell people what you do and where they can find you?
I just unmuted my mic. I've been laughing. Yeah, I do a podcast regularly on Twitch. I actually am a indie developer, and I am doing a development of an online multiplayer game all the way through. You can watch the full development of the game, and you can also become a tester, and that is and I'll enter it here, at twitch.tv, obviously, at ts_aphotic. And I'll type that in there.
Yes, that's APHOTIC.
Yep. And you can also see it on the Technobabble little screen layout that we've got.
Yeah, so if you're watching this on YouTube,
Yeah.
you can see it there, or on Twitch. The Twitch. Okay, so let me tell you real quick, just a little teaser here, what's coming up next week. I've actually scheduled an interview. We're going to be talking to, I'm going to be talking to, I think you're going to be busy, and you're not going to be able to make it. If you can make it, I'd still love for you to join us. But we're going to be talking to the creators of the game Shovel Knight. Now, for those of you that don't know, Shovel Knight was awarded the 2014 Game of the Year and the Indie Game of the Year. It's a pretty big deal. Like everybody's been talking about it. It was about 5 or 6 months ago. I guess is really all the hype was, but it's still a really fun game. I think I've gotten about halfway through it, a little over halfway through it. I'm working on beating it. It's a fucking amazing game. Especially if you like the old 8-bit style games like we were talking about earlier, like Mega Man and Castlevania and all those things. So if you like those kind of games, then it's so much I could say about this game. I'm not going to say it right now because I want to save it when we talk to Yacht Club Games. We're talking to those guys. And that episode should go up. I don't know exactly when I'm going to put it up, but it'll be up next week sometime. Just follow me on Twitter at CaptainKirkSC2. And you'll have all the information about that episode when it goes up. And if you want to catch it live, I don't know if I'm going to stream it live. It kind of all depends. I'm going to try to, but if it doesn't, at least I'll tweet you. I got tweet you guys when the VOD goes up, or I'm sorry, when the podcast, the audio goes up. So stay tuned for that. If you want to hear us talk to those guys, that's going to be fun. I can't wait to do it. Anyway, I want to thank you, Drake, for coming and talking with me about some shit about Holocaust and women and games and shit.
I'm just glad I got to come this time.
That's what she said. Oh, that's a great. I mean, we can't top that. We got to end it here. Thank you guys for listening, everyone.
See you guys.